I just want to relive my youth, okay? Hey guys, I'm Liana Ruppert. I am a community manager over at Bungie on Destiny 2, which has absolutely nothing to do with this video, but there you go. Today I wanted to talk about something that I actually had in the pipeline when I was at Game Informer. I started getting really into indie games because I had the freedom to. Before that, if you followed my work there, if not, it's cool. But I wrote a lot of opinion pieces that really mattered. Talked about homelessness and my own experience. I talked about MS. I talked about suicide attempts. I've talked about everything. There was nothing that was closed off. And a big reason for that is because I was never really allowed to write that kind of stuff. I was always at traffic focused websites, and Game Informer really wasn't about that, which is good and very refreshing. But it was nice because I really got to explore the more creative aspects of my brain. And even though people kind of got really upset with me, like, oh my God, stop turning this into a blog, what they failed to realize is the one opinion piece, maybe a month that I would write, I was writing 10, 15 news pieces a day. So it was that was cathartic for me. Anyways, before I left Game Informer, which I left very quickly, and therefore I did not get to finish out projects I was working on, I wanted to write a piece about Annapurna, who is known for amazing indie titles under its umbrella. I mean, Telling Lies was a really good one, Last Stop, Outer Wilds, Sayonara All Hearts. There's so many amazing games that have just beautiful art styles and just really amazing stories. Telling Lies was insane. Last Stop was a philosophical existential dream. Even though it was weird as shit, it was very Kant. It was very Kant, if you're familiar with Kant's work. And I remember I think that was the game that solidified, holy shit, I really dig what this company allows. And so it kind of started making me think about stuff that I loved from the past that I would love to see done. And there's a movie that I absolutely loved, and it is called Ghost World. And I don't know if you guys remember it, but it came out a long ass time ago, and it starred Thora Birch. It starred, who was the other person? Scarlett Johansson. I can't believe I forgot her name because, she's such a small actress. But they were young. They were little babies. I believe this movie came out early 2000. I want to say 2001. But it was it was Juno before Juno. It was Napoleon Dynamite before Napoleon Dynamite. It was honestly the movie that birthed hipsters. I really do believe that, but it was the best movie ever. And Thora and Scarlett both did amazing jobs. Thora was this punked out, neon hair colored badass, kind of reminds you of Daria from Daria, the old cartoon. And Scarlett was this very tomboy, doesn't care, nothing bothers her, talks like this. And I really loved her character too, because when I was in high school and middle school, I very much kept to myself. I was a huge metalhead, and so I would usually just keep to myself and listen to music and do my own thing. And before I kind of learned hey, you should probably add some inflection in your voice so not everybody you talk to thinks you're mad at them, I kind of talked like her, so I saw myself a lot in her, and I think that's kind of dope. But I really loved it because the story was neo cool for back then, and still really cool. You see a lot of people kind of emulating that style even to this day. It's a big reason why I color my hair a lot. I had the forest green hair for a long time that she had. But so basically it's the two female characters, and they are graduating from high school and kind of pondering what the next step of life is. High school is this safe, cushioned microcosm that is kind of separate from the real world, and though it aims to teach you and prepare you for the real world, it actually doesn't really do much of that at all. It gives you trauma and math, which you can arguably say is the same thing. Kidding. Chill. But they take in this moment of transition and fear, which I think everybody can relate to regardless of your background. You go to school for so long and then suddenly, boop, go forth and prosper. And I think everybody can kind of relate to the fear in that. But they're kind of taking this really hard, crystallized look at the world. And they are trying to decide what they want to do, what matters to them. Are they going to, if they were so close, are they going to still be friends as they kind of navigate love and new hobbies and career goals and artistic goals? And Steve Buscemi was in it too, and I think his character's name was actually just Steve. Seymour. His name was Seymour, and that absolutely fit his character. And he and Enid, who is Thora Birch's character, they start, kind of getting a little romantical. And then Rebecca, who is Scarlett Johansson, she's also kind of getting her own love interest or whatever. And what I'm getting a little bit confused here because I'm really excited because I forgot how much I love this movie, and it's been years since I've seen it. I need to rectify that immediately. But I really loved the tale of them just kind of figuring out life. It's a coming to life movie, but it's got a very wiry humor to it, edge to it. If you like Juno, if you like the dialogue of that, if you like the script writing of that, then you'll very much love Ghost World. But Ghost World, what made it beautiful was the fact that it was so brightly colored. It was neons, but it was juxtaposed against blacks and darkness, and it was just one whole paradox. And I feel like when you're young, you would look at characters like Thora's and Scarlett's and be like, wow, I want to be like that, to be that unbothered, how cool. But then you start getting into the nuances and you're like, okay, they're just as fucked up as I am. And if anybody can translate that into a video game, it's Annapurna. They can find the talent to do that. And I think that they would do it really well, especially when looking at games that, Sorry in Our Hearts, the art style there was beautiful. And it was just, it made you want to get lost in that world. You know what I mean? And I think that games like that, whether they're 50 hours long or 5 hours long or 2 hours long. One of my favorite games was only 2 hours long. But the beauty of it is that it's so immersive. And it's immersive almost in a safe way because the art styles are very romanticized. So you don't really have that total immersion that you have in these super hyper realistic games, because that's not the point. It's supposed to be artistic expression in a way that is very abstract and kind of, whether you can personally relate to it or not, you can still see the beauty of the narrative. And I think that is really important because there's so much depth and nuance to Ghost World that I think when we were younger and watched that movie, it got lost because we were just a little bit too young. If you were like me, just a little bit too young to really understand how universal it was. And I think that, maybe not everybody wants to rewatch an old movie. And I think a lot of the younger generation too that doesn't really care about older movies. But if you are watching this and haven't seen it yet, please rent it. Having a game about Ghost World would really be a cool way to kind of resurrect that beautiful story. You can even modernize it a little bit, but personally, I would like it not to be touched. I would want it as true to vision as possible. I would say a mix of Artful Escape and Solar Ash type artwork would be really nice for this. I want it to be very Stassi. If they could get the original writers, I definitely want a narration team to be on it if possible. I know that's not possible, but it wouldn't be very hard to emulate, especially if you were raised off of shows like Daria and things like that. But I would want it to not lose its sarcastic nature and the fact that you kind of see these two young women trying to navigate what it means to leave the safety of childhood and into the chaos and terror that is adulthood, and trying to build up these really intense armors around themselves to kind of protect themselves. Maybe slapping on the I don't care attitude a little thick. Because if people don't think you care, then they're probably not gonna fucks with you. You know what I mean? And I think that keeping that exact tone is very important if a movie like this were to be translated. But I want it. Is that selfish? 100%. But I want it. I wanna work on it. I mean, I can't because I really love my job at Bungie and nothing's gonna make me leave this job. I can't imagine a world in which I left unless it just got too restrictive, I guess. But I don't see that happening. But I would love I just would love it. There's so many times where I would bring up this movie if I was talking to a friend and they'd said something that kind of reminded me of it, or like the Indian folk music that was prevalent throughout the film. I listened to that all the time, and people would be like, "Oh, what's this?" And I would explain, and so many people never even heard of the movie, and I'm just like, that's not fair. This is so good, and somehow I turned British, and I don't know why. But you get what I'm saying, man. Like, it's Annapurna, if you're watching this, which I know you're not, and that's okay. I still love you. But please, for the love of God, give this to me. That's really all I had to say. This is a very short video. I don't want to go too much into what the movie is with the plot line, other than it's a coming of age tale, because just I hope you genuinely watch it. I hope you give it a chance and see what the hubdo is about. You know, buckle up, buckaroos. We're going for an adventure. Just know that if you watch it, you're gonna want to dye your hair. It is inevitable. They make it look very flawless, and I can tell you from personal experience, dyeing your hair is not that easy. But it's a beautiful story that is almost timeless. And I think this kind of dry, deadpan humor is also timeless. And pairing that with the color template and just the natural flow of the story of how it's kind of a walking simulator that falls in line with a lot of Annapurna's games. Telling Lies, Last Stop, those shit were walking simulators. Yeah, you had QTEs, but it wasn't heavy, so it was kind of an entry point for anybody, no matter their age or their capabilities or whatever. And I think that if this movie was to be translated into a video game, it would need to be done by a company that has an audience that understands the vision, and I think Annapurna has that. I think that this movie could do really well as a video game, but it needs to be under a name that people trust, because there is a lot of, like I said, deadpan humor that could come off as very slow, very like, oh my God, why are they still talking? Or, oh my God, why are we just listening to a record for minutes straight? But people that play Annapurna games are used to that, because Annapurna is about the journey itself and the end goal message, and that has no timeline of how it needs to be created. That's why they get away with either freakishly long games or freakishly short games, because they know what they want to do and they know what kind of stories they want to represent. And I feel like Ghost World is 100% on brand for Annapurna. And yeah, so this is a selfish video of me trying to get you on my hype train so we can make this shit happen. I don't know, start a petition. I don't know, what do you do in these situations? YouTube about it, apparently. But yeah, that was my super important video that I needed to share with you guys ASAP. It was very important, okay? So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I don't know, could I said this much more eloquently? 100%. I'm on my lunch break, to be honest, and I didn't want it to be this big planned out video. I wanted it to be a conversation with you, dear viewer. Oh, let's make this shit weird. And hopefully my confusing ramble at least piqued your interest to be like, okay, what the fuck was she talking about? Help me, I'm bored. But yep, that was my latest video of this. I did also record a video a couple days ago that I'm hoping to get up as well about what I miss about being a gaming journo and why I would never ever go back. So keep an eye out for that one as well. I will have that out probably next week because I don't want to overload. And I also want to make sure I don't get really excited and upload a shit ton of stuff and then go a couple months without uploading again, because that was not great. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will drop some links in the description below. Feel free to like and subscribe. Look, Mom, I'm a YouTuber. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you very, very much. You guys, I missed you guys. Like, I genuinely missed not uploading and reading your comments and interacting and just having conversation. It means a lot. So thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye.